Hello and welcome back to Real Fake Facts. I'm your host, Patrick Moore, and this is the show that is serving up the realest, fakest facts found anywhere on the interwebs. You might find fake news on some other YouTube page. You might crawl into some deep, dark corner of the internet and find alternative facts. But it's only here, on this program, that you will find the realest fake facts anywhere in the world or on any corner of these interwebs. So, where are we going today on our journey into the true knowledge of this world? What truth are we going to reveal today? What mask are we going to pull back to reveal the ugly facts below? Well, today we're going to be covering one of the most heated, most debated conspiracies on the internet. And we're not just going to be talking about this. We're in fact going to be debunking this crazy argument because, spoiler alert, both sides are wrong on this one. That's right, both sides. So what are we discussing? What are we getting into? Well, today we're going to be discussing the shape of our planet. Real fake facts! Real fake facts! Is our planet the shape of a globe? And scientists say real fake facts! Or is it very flat as I saw on YouTube? Real fake facts! What is the shape of our planet today? Real fake facts! You are now tuning in to Real Fake Facts. That's right. People on the internet have spent hours researching and attempting to prove that the shape of our planet is flat. And of course, mainstream scientists will put forward facts and math and physics to debunk these flat earthers and tell you that we in fact live upon a globe, that our planet is a globe. Well, maybe they're right. As I've said before, on this show, we support science. We believe in science. But some of these mainstream scientists have been blowing smoke up our asses. And some of these flat earthers are total crazy kooks who should be institutionalized. But I'm not one to speak to mental health, so let me just tell you the real fake facts of this story. They're both right. How could that be possible? How could our planet both be a globe and be flat? It's quite simple. The planet has been a globe for eons, for millennia. In the time of the dinosaurs, they walked upon a globe. When the dolphins crawled out of the oceans and evolved into primates that we today call human beings, they were on a globe. When the cave people drew on walls and murdered giant elephants covered in fur, they were on a globe. When kings and queens ruled the land and people traveled by horse and ship, they were on a globe. But we have lived with a flat planet for almost 60 years. And look, some of you maybe you want to learn this story in a linear fashion. If that's the case, that's fine. I support linear learning. But I'm going to spoil the end of this story for you right now. So if you don't want to hear it, if you want to come on this educational journey with me, cover your ears, cover your eyes, and don't listen to this next part. Because we once again are living upon a globe. This right here, now in the year 2020, we are living on a globe. The shape of the planet that we live on is round. It's a sphere, a slightly egg-like sphere. Once again. However, the planet was flat. Now, let me tell you some history here. Now, look, you're not going to find this in your mainstream history books, with your history professors at some university that's a part of that's on the big history payroll that doesn't want to let you know the real facts, and is of course working with big science. And so the after World War I is where our story begins. The global elite, the leaders of the most powerful countries in the world, they could see the writing on the wall. World War I was a brutal and devastating war, and when it ended in 1918, they looked at this and they said, look at how devastating this war was. Look at the loss of life. And look at how far technology has come during this war. And they realized that the military-industrial complex that had been fired up during this war, it was only gaining momentum and speed, that the technology would only continue to increase, that weapons would become more and more deadly. Of course, they weren't thinking the names nuclear warheads. They weren't thinking atomic bomb, but they knew something of its size, something of its destructive power was coming. They knew that more war was inevitable. And so they said to themselves, we must gather. We must meet. We must find a way to avoid this. And so, what did they do? These leaders, these millionaires, these scientists, imaginarists, technologists, they came together. Each country brought their best and brightest. From science, from physics, from imagination, from technology, for their leaders. And they came together and they held many secret meetings to try to discuss what is the best path, what is the way to try to mitigate some of this destruction that is so guaranteed in our future. What is the way that we can save humanity? Well, they came to an interesting conclusion. They found that, if there was a major weapon and this weapon was shot from one part of the globe to another, and it created some sort of a devastating explosion with a globe-shaped planet. There were so many terrible possibilities. What if this weapon went down into the core of the planet, destabilizing the entire planet and causing total destruction? What if, in fact, the weapon passed through the globe, from one side of the globe to the other? The weapon decharges on this side of the globe, travels all the way through the globe, and causes equal amount of destruction on the other side of the globe. That would be devastating, double the devastation. And so they thought, what would be the best way to mitigate this problem? And they thought, what if we changed the shape of our planet? What if we took our globe shape and simply unfurled it and created a flat planet? It would, mitigate this danger of destabilizing the core, of punching through the planet and creating equal destruction on both sides of the globe. Now, if with a flat plane, if a bomb goes off, it simply punches a hole through, no problem. You can patch that hole right up. And so they thought to themselves, why not flatten the planet? In fact, they thought, this would be good for global trade. It's going to create better trade routes. It's going to create some new and better ways of communication. Telephone lines that are coming into creation are going to be more easily dispersed across this planet. Communication around the planet would be opened up. There were so many reasons to flatten the Earth, to go from a globe shape to a flat shape, and so these scientists, these technologists, these imaginarianists, they came up with this plan, and they ran simulations. They did experiments, and they tried to account for everything. And the real masterminds of this operation were, let me tell you three names. Coolidge. That's right. Calvin Coolidge, President of the United States in 1928. How about Stalin? Joseph Stalin, the leader of Russia. Maybe you've heard of him. And the last name, I'm going to have to check my notes on this one. How about Stanley Baldwin? Stanley Baldwin, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in 1928. Yes, these were the minds that finally forged this idea, and they gathered together their coffers and helped researchers find the seam on the planet so that they could simply detach the seam and unfurl the planet into its flat shape that they desired. If you look at a globe on your teacher's desk or, in a library or something, if you spin the globe around, eventually you'll find a small seam. And you might be thinking, oh, that's because that's how they created this globe to sit on someone's desk. Well, how do you think they created a globe to be sitting in outer space? Of course, there was a seam that needed to be there. And so the seam was found, and it was detached in July of 1928. And it's hard to find firsthand accounts because people realized, the leaders, the scientists involved in this project, they realized that if civilization, if humanity knew of their plans, there would be chaos. People have grown to know and love and become attached to the idea of our planet being a globe. That they wouldn't want a flat Earth. That a flat Earth would not be popular among the people. And so they did this in the dead of night in July of 1928. They unfurled the planet while everyone was sleeping. And using magnets and of course rocket technology, but mostly magnets, and so they undid the seam and unfurled it and created the flat Earth that we've heard so much about in today's internet. And this flat Earth, the scientists, they ran their simulations, they did their experiments, but people didn't know. They knew it would be safe, but they didn't know what would be the fallout. What could happen from this? Well, that's where the Great Recession comes into play. August 1929. The Great Depression hits. It's a calamity in the United States and worldwide, but did you know? This was all attached to the shape of our planet. Scientists and economics people couldn't fathom the idea that the shape of our planet was actually having an effect on the economy. And so by flattening the planet, it in fact flattened the economy as well. And we still don't fully understand the science, math, and technology behind either of these, the shape of our planet or the economy. And so this flattening of the planet then it caused this amazing depression. It was an amazing and terrible depression. But after that, things normalized and things, started to move along well. People became used to a flat Earth, and the global elite kept this secret from the people, knowing that it was serving them. And certainly the elite in the United States, they saw their power, their country rising to greater and greater power and wealth under a flat Earth shape, and so they never pushed for something different until the Clintons. 1990s. That's right. The Clintons, they behind closed doors, they were making negotiations. They believed that a return to a globe shape would in fact create a greater peace on Earth, that would create greater prosperity, that it would be a boon to the peoples of the planet to return to a globed shape. And they, they might have been right, but the conservatives in the country, in the United States, they were very anti-returning to globe. And so, the Bushes, of course, were anti that because the United States had risen to such great power as on a flat Earth. And so, conservatives said, we are the number one country in the world. We're rich. We're powerful. Why would we change something? Why would we risk changing something to return to this globed shape? It's a crazy idea. It's lunacy, they said. And so when Gore lost the election in 2000, Bush, that was the final strike there to a return to globe platform. And the climate change documentary by Al Gore, that was actually, if you really watch that movie, if you really open your eyes and watch that movie, you'll see that what he's really talking about is that, we need to return to a globe shape if we want to avert this climate disaster, because it's very simple. Flat, if you lay something out in your oven on a flat surface, it's going to cook much faster. It's going to get much hotter than if you put something that's round. The center of that is going to take much longer to get warm. So, a globe, it helps for a cooling effect versus a flat Earth. It gets warmer faster. And so that's what a lot of that documentary was about, in fact. And so when he lost the election in 2000, we maintained this flat shape. And so it wasn't until Obama came to office. That's right. You were wondering when I was going to bring him up. His name, the big O, Barry O. Obama, he returned us to the globe. And, people, they see, he ran on a platform of hope and change, but did he ever define what that hope or change would be? What would that change be? What is this hope he's talking about? Does anybody know? No. And so, but people bought it hook, line, and sinker. The reason is that the hope and the change he was talking about was a hope to change the planet back to a globe. And the global elite at that point, they were finally sympathetic to a return to global philosophy. And so they bended to the will. The global elite thought, okay, Barack Obama, Barry O, he's our man. Let's return to a globe. And so the global elite picked Barack Obama to be the next president. Of course, the sheeple of America followed suit. And people talk about Obama's presidency and say, he didn't get enough done. He didn't help the country in the ways that he needed. And that is because, his healthcare, for example, he passed a healthcare plan. It's his, the keystone of his presidency. And people say, why didn't he go farther? Why didn't we get a more comprehensive healthcare system or plan? And the reason is he had to use most of his political clout to return us to a globe. We had to return to globe. And so he used so much of his political power with the global elites, with the political players in different countries to return us to a globe. And so that's why he wasn't able to get much else done in his presidency. And the last, I could speak for a long time on this subject, but the last thing I'll say about this, the last thing is, China, okay? Have you ever wondered, we have a trade war with China. The tensions are rising between us and China. China's stealing American companies' intellectual property. But have you ever stopped to think, why? Why is there tension with China? What is the part of the story that we're missing? Well, are you connecting the dots, boys and girls? That's right. The part of the story we're missing is that China wanted a triangular planet, in the early 2000s, which, by the way, we didn't even touch on the fact that when Obama returned us to the globe, did you connect the dots, boys and girls? Did you connect the dots? Global recession, 2008. Obama elected, 2008. Global recession, 2008. Planet returned to a globe, 2008. So, the through line follows there. Great Depression, we go from globe to flat Earth. 2008, we go from flat Earth to globe, another recession. And so China China was pushing for a triangular planet shape. They said, why wouldn't we continue to push into the unknown? Let's try something new. And experts, if you read the real reports, if you find the real fake facts, that experts say that they believe that Chinese scientists have run simulations that they say will with a triangular planet size will benefit China greatly, that will push them to be the world power that they dream to be, to unseat the United States as the most powerful country on the planet. And so China was pushing for triangular planet. They said, why not something new? And there were people in the European Union, a lot of supporters in South America, some supporters even here in the United States who said, why wouldn't we try the triangular planet? We've tried a sphere, we've tried flat, let's try triangular. Well, how will that affect the economy? How will that affect the global civilization? And this is the last thing I'll say before I get out of here, because the big history and big science have been covering this up for ages. They don't want the truth to get out there, but big history, you're not going to read this in a history textbook. You're not going to hear it from a professor of history at some university, because they're in the pocket of these people, of the people who want to continue to pull the wool over our eyes about the shape of our own planet. And the thing that we're missing is that the shape of the planet has been discussed for eons, through civilizations, the Mayans, the Egyptians, the native peoples of North America. There are stories, drawings, writings about a different shape of the planet, and that is an octagonal prison. It's an octagon cube, an octagon-shaped cube, the octagonal prism. And the octagonal prism has been thought by many ancient civilizations that once our planet achieved octagonal prism as a shape, that this would bring about the next step of evolution, that the humanity would reach its final and highest level, that consciousness would expand to its ultimate plane, that we would achieve world peace, that hunger would end, that disease would end, that this would be utopia. This would be the heaven that we were sold. This is what is the fate of our planet if we play our cards right. And so the octagonal prism, it was written about by the Mayans. It's in the hieroglyphs of the Egyptians. It was passed down in story by the First Nations people of North America. It's a story as old as time. And the octagonal prism is never talked about in today's world. And I'm bringing this into the light today because we need to start a conversation about bringing our planet from a globe to an octagonal prism, for humanity, for the people of this world. We must, for the animals, for all creatures on this planet, we must think and debate about moving to an octagonal prism for the shape of our planet. And some people believe that the intelligent life out in the universe is waiting. Once our planet achieves octagonal prism, that is when intelligent life would reach out to us, that would reach out a hand and say, join us in the universal community, join us in the universal council of intelligent life in this universe. But until we achieve this octagonal prism shape for our planet, we're screwed. So there you have it. Flat Earth has been debunked. We had a globe, we went flat, and now we have a globe again. And that is the real fake facts about our planet. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for debunking these myths. Thank you for opening your eyes to the real truth about the shape of our planet. The last thing I'll add is that people who subscribe to this channel do not support kicking puppies. I can't speak to people who don't subscribe to the channel, but people who subscribe to the channel don't support kicking puppies. And I'll let you draw your own conclusions based on that information. But that's been it for me. This has been Real Fake Facts. I'm your host, Patrick Moore, and this is Real Fake Facts.